Jason, how you doing?
Sit down. We need your expertise.
Get him in here. Here, you can take
Here.
Yeah. You guys need to swap.
Oh, hey. So, I bumped into a production manager before I came to this room.
Did you?
And he said that you were in the building. And he said, and I don't understand this, but you'd have to tell me. He said, when you see Johnny, you need to run away from him.
Oh.
So
I don't know if you.
that was a little bit.
I don't know if you.
the camera view.
A little bit of an ominous comment.
I don't know if you've caught any of the latest Zombros, but
Unfortunately not.
Reed has been joking about trying to get all the juicy details out of you to the point where he's willing to chase you down Santa Monica.
Okay.
So don't watch out for me. Watch out for Reed.
Oh, okay.
Here, let's get. I don't think you're in frame.
Oh,
Jason.
sorry.
Slide on in here.
Is this live? Are we...
Yes.
Yes,
this
so
is
we're live
We're
right
live. We're out here.
Oh, wonderful.
All right, so we just wrapped up Voyage, or not Voyage, Blood. Incredible, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Looks so cool. And now we're doing 9.
Right. So we're playing
I li-
Rush.
I'm living on energy drinks at the moment, so I'm going to G myself.
Yeah.
up
Is this
with
kind of
Fair
an
enough.
important time for you guys
It's
or
a little,
something?
you know, a few things are going on. Yeah.
You got a big launch day?
It's something like that. Yeah.
Damn, I had no idea. So we were just talking a bit about how this is now, gone from something that was like a little Easter egg to probably, the zombies fandom is probably the most rabid fandom of Call of Duty. You have strictly zombie players that are just out here making content from games 4, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
So why are we going back to Egyptian times, or is it Egyptian Roman or?
Well, I mean that's one of the questions for you
That's
guys.
the-
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
I've
Yeah,
seen
no,
some
this is what we've been arguing over for months now, and I'm
I've
sure
seen-
you've just been sitting back laughing.
Well, I see. I've seen some comments in the Activision marketing stuff that says like Roman, and I'm like, you don't know that for sure. So
We don't know yet.
yeah.
Is this-
You're doing Rush, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Rush.
we're
Nice.
sticking with Rush today, and then tomorrow we're going to go into the full-fledged zombie experience for a little bit. We thought we'd give it a taste. This is like one of the first times that you guys have built out
Yeah,
a
Rush.
giant game mode.
Well, yeah, Rush really kind of comes into its own with friends. Really, I've got to say, it's very much a kind of co-op experience,
Right.
first and foremost. But yeah, Rush has this kind of effect where once you've played a whole bunch of it, especially with friends, going back to the kind of classic style, you'd be like, "Come on, where's the tempo?" Because this thing starts just building speed, building intensity. And, it is a different experience based on which map you're playing on as well. And again, the difficulty levels of the maps, like I've said, it's like start with 9, try Blood, and then go to kind of Voyage last in terms of difficulty. The same for Rush. If you try and do Rush on
Well, we jumped
Voyage,
right into Rush on Blood, and even that got intense because that was pretty tight.
Yep.
Oh, I love the look of this room.
So you guys have added some new mechanics. We saw that there was like what is it, Wardens? I can't remember what the prompt was, but you go underground and through like a lava
fast
channel
travel,
up. Yeah. So I mean, obviously a little bit of creativity going into that. Do you have any? is it different per map, or is it
Yeah, it's different. Well, it's different systems, and it's different per story as well.
Oh, okay.
So the kind of fast travel systems that you get on the Ether stories, a different aesthetic and reason and creative behind those different fast travel systems. Yeah.
So how did you guys come up with the Rush idea? You were just playing zombies normally. Like, what if we just like turn it up to 12?
Well, I mean, so there was a lot of calls in the community for grief, and we've not forgotten about grief. But I'd also stated that we wouldn't go back to grief until I was really happy with it, which is close.
Right.
It's close. But
That's exciting.
I wanted to just kind of go back to the beginning and just make a mode which was specifically made for co-op players and give a different kind of tempo and something that wasn't about just sticking it to the guy, but has this kind of friendly competition. And so that was the kind of inspiration for Rush. And I feel like it builds. It's one of these game modes where when you're playing at first you're like, yeah, it's all fine, and then the kind of competition just starts building as you're seeing your name go up or your name going down.
Right.
And then people start stealing your points or your power-ups just in front of you.
Oh, did I just miss that?
That competition just starts to get more and more intense as time goes on.
Did you just miss the?
I think I did just
mystery
miss the
box?
weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, deactivates. What kind of nonsense
So
is
we
that?
have a timer now.
Jason, are you kidding me? Come on.
No comment.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure in the previous games I had way more time. That was fast.
Yeah?
That was...
Yeah.
So a lot of.
Let me
I
get
better
straight
get
on that.
out of
I'll
here.
get on it.
Yeah.
Change it right now. I demand it.
Just a minute, where's the keyboard? Okay.
Can you change it on the fly?
God, no, people don't want to see me code. My God. Alarms go off in this building if I check coding.
Now, of course, when we're playing solo, it's hard to get the full like co-op experience.
Yeah.
But I know you've mentioned that you can grief other players or like affect how they're doing. In what ways can you do that? Like,
Well, it's more like, as I say, like stealing the points. When you get the power-ups, they're just for you. So it's not a group shared benefit anymore. And as such, it's like, it's very interesting. When people start playing it, first of all, when they see a friend go down, their immediate reaction is to go and revive them.
Yeah.
What happens once you played Rush a bit? You're like,
I'm gonna
I'll
let you
let
die.
him. I'll let him deal with that.
So what's the
No, is there? I'm going.
I was gonna just say, so what's the reasoning behind having a revive mechanic if most people are gonna, just kind of say, maybe I
Well,
don't think
because there's strategy, as with life. Sometimes you need to revive the person you're competing with,
Right.
And that can lead to you winning in the end. So
Gotcha.
again, if you one thing that's interesting about Rush is as people go down, we don't scale the difficulty. So in other words, if you go in as a 4-player, when you start losing 3, we're still balancing against 4.
Gotcha.
So if you're low down on the points, you don't want to have those people die out straight away because you want to get a little bit closer and then let them die, right? So that choice of that strategic choice of where you're sitting in the leaderboard has to factor into your decision of should you revive, should you help someone.
Now, if somebody dies, are they out of the game permanently, or will they come back at the next rush?
They're out. That's it. They're done.
Oh,
You have your lives. in
Hey,
the
we got a
bottom left-hand
trophy.
corner, and that's it.
there we go.
Man. So there's no way to gain addition. Well, there should be a way. There
you
is
can
a way
lives.
to gain it.
Yeah. You
What-
get extra lives as you're playing. Yeah.
How do you get extra lives? Is there a specific thing? Is it when you max out your
Um,
multiplier?
It's
What the
Oh, we're pack
I won't go into too many details. I'll just say the more you're playing, you're gonna benefit with extra lives. I'll say.
Gotcha.
I love the look of the new pack.
Ooh.
By the way.
Sexy.
When
Well,
you're-
like the colors on it and
When you're
everything,
designing something like this, how do you come up with the idea like, all right, we're going to remodel the Pack-a-Punch and we're going to make it this? How does this go from a concept to in-game?
So the Pack-a-Punch was completely directed by narrative. So it was a narrative conversation, and once we decided what it was and what it was doing and where it needs to sit in our mythology, we then sit down with the artist, we talk to that, they get the sketches, and it all goes from there. And then it's kind of, we get a model, texture it, put it in.
Now, obviously, when you look in it, you start to see what looks like some kind of picture. Would you recommend those diving into the store to really take a deep dive into that?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Have you
Hear
been
that, theorists? Get digging.
Have you been-
Screenshot those moments.
Have you been following the fabled zombies Easter eggs progression? We've been directed that we cannot ask or talk about Easter eggs, but from the Papa.
I can.
Oh, yeah.
They can't tell me what to do. What are you talking about? Go,
I guess so.
go for it.
It's not on me.
It's your
not
mode.
on me. It's not-
Exactly. You don't have to say a thing.
But have you been following the progression of people, working through zombies? You said you've been working on, or basically living on energy drinks here, so I assume there's not a lot of free time to sit down and look at stuff.
Just this week, yeah. This week, a lot of stuff going in, a lot of stuff. Making sure that we can guarantee as high quality experience for the community as a whole. It's actually more tricky than you think in terms of all the rolling releases of stuff. You've got to make sure that everyone's in a good place.
We're gonna fix the frames real quick, guys.
Oh, sure.
Not quite sure why this is happening, but we're gonna work on it. Don't worry about it. It should be a quick amount. So if you have any questions, now's a wonderful time to ask them.
So do you think there's any potential for more game modes being thrown into Black
Absolutely.
Ops 4?
It's not even a potential. It's actually already being
in
developed.
the works?
Yes.
Ooh, that's
Yes.
exciting.
Interesting.
Is that
We-
exclusive?
Fingers crossed on grief.
We actually had a couple of modes that we chose not to put in on day one because we just thought it was too much. Which I've never been in that position
What a
before.
good problem to have, right?
What an excellent
Hey,
problem
we
to
have too much content.
Yeah.
Let's.
Oh shit.
But then everybody at home's like, oh, come on, Jason.
Yeah.
You should have gave it to us.
More content?
I
It's
think
like
there's-
4 maps,
there's a
2
danger
new
of
game
being
modes,
too overwhelming, yeah.
customization. It's not enough. Never. You can.
I
can't
honestly
please
think there's a
everybody.
danger of that too much on day one.
Too much info or too much?
Just too much everything.
It can be overwhelming.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I think the community really responds to, let them kind of get their feet, let them understand. The idea of locking the Easter eggs was a decision based on to try and help the Easter egg hunting crew. But actually, I think the interesting side effect is it's taken the pressure off everyone, so they can just get to know the maps, get to know the new mechanics. There's so much stuff that's changed. I mean, you could look at it and go, "Oh, Jug, right? Sure." But actually, once you start playing it and thinking about, oh, my weapons aren't gone on down. Oh, my perks, this is how they kind of go away. Oh, this is how elixirs work now. Oh, this is how when I assign stuff to totems or to the statues, it works like this. But if I put it on the 4th one, it doesn't modify. Okay, what's that now? All those decisions and all that kind of rippling design
So it'll allow us to get a taste for it before we
You've
jump.
got to be able to, and it's going to take, a good couple of months, I think, till all those straps and all those new strats will settle in.
Now, how many? I forget exactly. How many hours between the launch of the game until the Easter eggs start unlocking? When can people start hunting?
I think we are. I'd have to double check, but I think we're unlocking it. I think it was midday tomorrow. I think that's what we're doing. Or 10 o'clock. It's one of the two, midday or 10 o'clock, one of those.
Well, that works for me. That gives me enough time to fly back to Pennsylvania and
There you
not
go.
miss a beat of the hunt.
But that was again something we're trying for the first time is trying to control it all and then go, okay, let the hunting begin. Gong.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the guys has suggested to me that we should put a gong in the game, so gong sounds when the Easter egg starts. Sorry, we've not put that in. Sounds cool.
You say that, but people will start looking for it. You
Listen to the gong,
got to be careful.
Yeah.
But that's what's gonna happen. So there's gonna be a Reddit post. I heard a gong somewhere.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow it all starts.
Yeah, so Zombies fans this year, I feel like are really spoiled in the sense that in the past we'll get one map or maybe two maps. We had the Giant and Shadows back in Black Ops 3.
Right.
This year we've got 4 maps.
Yeah.
We've talked about this for hours, me and the Zombies guys. Which do we jump into first? Do we go into the Aether story? Do we go to the Chaos story? And then even within those stories, which map do we go into?
Yes.
What are your recommendations?
So, this is kind of part of the decision-making process, which was we wanted to put a selection of maps who are for the hardcore guys. There's a selection of maps, a certain choice of maps for I've played zombies before, but maybe I've walked away. The map for that kind of person. There's a map for the complete beginner. So it all depends who you are and what you're going after. And that was something when we sat down and started designing it and talking about the whole game, was we've now got so many distinct areas of the community. The high round guys, the Easter egg quest guys, the narrative guys, the guys who, may be tired of the old story, guys who they love the old story and want to know more about it, right? All these different aspects, and we essentially put a thought board down, wrote it all down, and said, okay, these are all the things that are kind of going on. And so there's because of the amount of content we're going after and the meta systems we're going to put around it. Sorry, this gets a little bit boring at times. But when we're doing that, that's what informed the different decisions. So I'm not expecting, as I've always not expected, that there's
Intense.
every map is for everyone, but there should be a map for everyone. If you see what I mean.
God,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then there's so much variety in this.
That gives you in my mind, that gives you a ladder for progression. Voyage may be a bit intimidating for you to start on, but if you're the guy who walks around and goes, I'm shit, it's like, okay, well then start with Voyage, right? That's jump into the new story and go for a quite challenging mission. Now, again, if you say, well, I do want to get Voyage, but maybe I'm not at that level yet, we'll start it on easy, or go on custom mutations and put your health all the way up, right? That's a way to experience it and jump in there. So even if our default, because everyone has that feel of well, I'm not going to put it on easy. Surely not, right? Well, okay, but you can go custom mutation then and just give yourself a few more hits, or
Now, I've
change the
heard-
spread detail and so forth.
I've heard whispers of a realistic mode.
Yes, it's in there.
What can you tell me about that?
1 point of damage, not one hit, 1 point.
So
you
how
could
about
die
how about say fall damage?
Yeah.
Splash damage, yeah, anything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, anything. It's
Yeah, don't even touch the ray
How
gun.
the
though.
hell? I mean, that's gonna be insane to see people try and work out how to best go about.
I know
playing
there is groups in the community, right? Them
Whoa.
as well, who will go to realistic and go, okay, highest round. Now we have our hardcore group of testers here at Treyarch, and they every day do around 100 on nearly every single map we've ever produced, right? That's their job. That's what they do. Realistic, their highest round I think is 12. So I'm throwing it out to the community. Show them what you got, guys.
Well, there's a streamer, Smart Guy, probably one of the best zombies players I've ever seen. He's been doing lately the one-hit challenge, where as soon as he gets one hit, he just restarts the game.
Okay.
And he's been doing incredible with that.
That's
Nice.
So for the hardcore guys that really want to test themselves,
Yeah.
Tigers.
Dude,
It's just
What
like
in the world? This map is actually sick.
Have you seen the cartoon mode?
the what?
Have you seen switched on the cartoon mode?
The cartoon mode?
Oh,
No.
go into settings.
oh.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Okay, go to graphics. Go to content filter.
Oh boy.
Then switch graphic content off.
Oh. Oh, okay. I got
And then
it.
cartoon mode on.
Oh.
And then come back out.
Oh geez. This
What
is
in
almost
the
like
world?
Borderlands.
Yeah, that applies across all the maps. We put
that's
it in just
cool.
as a
Oh,
little
wow.
fun little, Only a couple of hours to code it. So.
Well, it's reminiscent of almost like a comic book art style.
Yeah.
Which of course is you have the comics you just started publishing your second series.
Yep.
And then the previous ones plus the old loading screens.
Sure.
Any chance we might see more comic book loading screens in the future?
Not in the Chaos comic series.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and there's a narrative reason why the kind of comic books are more associated with the Ether story.
Yeah.
So I love, let's just say what it is, right? This job just allows me to live out all my childhood fantasies, but with massive budget, right? So I've always been a huge fan of comics, and so I couldn't turn down the option of making a comic series. And it's also a wonderful way to tell bits of narrative and bits of story that you need to be able to have in a more linear, fluid way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the storytelling that we do inside a game map is quite complex in terms of having in any order, who knows who's next to you, and all this stuff. And that's part of the fun for the community. But the comic gives us an opportunity to tell a front to back one experience. Now the downside is comics are quite small, so you can only tell a little soupçon of storytelling. But I still enjoy it. So.
I gotta say, you were absolutely evil for making me stay in this
I was
confined
gonna say
area.
this area
This
is
is
treacherous.
Thank God I pack a punch this pistol. Otherwise, I'd be dead in a heartbeat. I'm already dead.
There you go.
I'm running low on ammo. Now, how have you changed your approach to narrative from Black Ops 3 to Black Ops 4?
I think let me start from the technical level and come up to the narrative level. From a technical level, it was a complete rebuild of how the lines trigger, how the system works. We scaled up our narrative department in terms of both its QA and number of writers, so that we can do things like there's a line when you do it, but it's a different line when you do it, and these are the characters next to you, and it's a different line if I'm here, you're there, and this other person's there. So people who are kind of narrative, diehards, there's now more permutations to find out to look for that one line.
And will this be something that we can interact with, say, when we have the bots in game?
Yes,
so I'm
exactly.
playing solo and I can squad up with them.
Exactly, yeah. So the and again, I would say, as anyone who's played any games for any years, right? Bots are not the be all and end all of the world, but what they should do.
Oh, geez, you got fire coming now.
Yeah. What bots should do is, for a beginner, help them get into the map, and for narrative people, even if you're solo, you can be listening to what the interactions are. But we've made the choice of deciding how complex they are, but also there's only a certain limit to AI intelligence in terms of what they can do. Like, I've heard people say, oh, the bots, they're going to kill that last zombie. Yes, they do, yeah. They're not running advanced strategies, but they open the doors, they revive you, they'll pull weapons, they'll use fast travel, those kind of things. But if you're a hardcore guy,
what is that?
The bots are going to get frustrating by, I'd say, about round 20,
Yo, run
25, 30.
Oh, is that a friendly thing?
I don't know.
No, I think he just slid.
You know, Jason, you want to share?
No, you're all good.
Oh,
You can switch your cartoon mode off, by the way. I was just showing you.
I
like it actually.
I love it. I mean, it's subtle and cool.
Would you ever consider, though, like maybe incorporating like a command system with the bots, where I could say to them, "Oh my God,"
I think
like I could say to them, "Don't kill the last zombie."
I think if people
like
are really calling out that the bots is something they want us to invest in, we'd invest in it. We put it in just so that for those narrative guys and for beginners. But if I'm hearing from the community that this is a real big deal, then let's do it.
I thought I had zombie blood for a moment because the tiger wasn't coming at me. This is getting intense.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, and I'm running near the end of the line. Shoot.
You got your special weapon.
Yeah.
Ooh, what do I got? Oh. Right. Oh my God.
Bro,
Just took that man's legs out.
I love the
we're
creative
killing
freedom that you guys have started to take. Well, not started to take, but continue to use. What the hell?
Oh my God.
Continue to do.
Is that a
with
tongue?
the zombies. It's just like, what started as something so simple. I'm super glad that it's grown to this.
Thank God.
thank you.
Thank God you told me about this. Otherwise, I was doomed.
Yeah, and here's the thing. That is in the same way that people would think about Jug or certain perks in the past, the special weapon completely changes the way you should be thinking about moving, timing, and dealing with certain engagements. For everything that we've introduced now and changed, we've actually made a balancing factor. So part for the community is going to be working out, okay, when this happens, I need to have something like this ready.
Right.
And that's part of the decisions of, oh no, I used it here, and then this thing, oh no.
Well, while you mentioned Jug, there is an absence of Jug in this game.
Yes.
What was the decision-making process like that to cut some of those beloved perks?
Yeah. Well,
Was it a tough decision to make, or?
No, because the way we look at stuff, and it may break people's hearts, but completely emotionally. In other words, you know, I said when we wrote it all down and looked at it, you know, one of the big decisions was we want it to have meaningful choices about what you're doing, what you're picking, from the starting weapon, your special equipment, your special weapon, and when we got to perks, we had this problem. And the problem is that everyone gets the same things, and so when we switched it on with all the normal perks first time. And we just took a survey. We had like a little survey monkey, right? We could look at it.
Yeah.
And everyone had the same perks. And we kept on adding more and more perks in the early days.
Well, that's how pretty much the only time I ever diverged from the core 4 is when I maybe got like an On the House or a or like Perkaholic.
Sure. So that's what we said. We said, okay, let's take it out. And as soon as we took out certain perks, suddenly when I looked at the survey, everything started changing. And I was like, this is what we want. And then people then started to have their own strategies. And then they had different strategies on their own than when they were with friends, and with certain friends based on how they play. And we were like, that's what we're after. And then we took that same mentality over to the new Elixir system, which was, okay, we added a bunch of OP stuff. We did that because we were trying to cater to...
You're saying back in Black Ops 3, right?
Back in Black Ops 3. So, in Black Ops 3, we put a bunch of OP stuff in there, very deliberately, to try and reduce the barrier to entry for certain segments of the community. But this time, once we could actually go and touch everything, and you have to ripple those designs down, you then get to Elixirs and you're like, okay, we don't need that. That's okay, and it makes total sense. Yeah. When you've got a system that's running as something as big as zombies, you can't just normally, as you're going in a DLC season, just go, okay, we'll just change that, because you do it has effects.
I feel like a total noob right now, Jason, but how do I change my map? Because I can't, do I gotta go back?
Yeah, you gotta come up. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, for those at home who maybe don't know and are fretting, they're like, oh no Jug, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
What is your answer to them?
There is a whole bunch of other perks. You've also got... here's the thing. There's multiple dimensions for you to change it so that to fit your playing style. So if you were to say... I would ask the question of the person, say, why do you want Jug? And they say, well, because I like to get to high rounds. And I go, okay, well, there's multiple ways you could change the game to allow you to get high rounds. You can, if you change nothing and said, I want to do normal difficulty, I don't want to do custom mutations, I just want to play the normal game, I'd say, okay, well, how do you play? I usually sit at the top of the catwalk and kill things. Right, okay, well then let's talk about this perk. Let's put this perk in your slot, let's put that perk in, and that's going to be good for you, and that's going to generate the same kind of effect.
And they could tailor their loadouts to what? So essentially, by removing Juggernog and removing some of those beloved perks, you've given more freedom to the player.
Yes, and I think we are also... I think we've got more, zombie community is at best when it's having conversations and it's talking and it's disagreeing and it's arguing, right? All the stuff that sometimes could be seen as a negative, I see as a positive, right? Which is that people are interacting and arguing about stuff. I think we're putting more stuff for you to argue about, more stuff for you to discuss. And I don't think there's one right answer. I think there's a bunch of optimal answers for certain styles. And I'm sure certain things will bubble up. And then you make decisions about nerfing or kind of, changing. And by no means would I say this game is that, there we go, it's perfect. It's mwah, and we don't touch it ever again. When you've got millions of people playing it, when you put it out live, it doesn't matter how much testing I do. It's only once we're live that we can watch that, listen. But the thing I would say is so much stuff has changed that I'm not going to be listening for a little bit.
Ooh.
I'm going to let everyone settle down, get to know it. And we'll have our guys watching like we normally do.
So of course, like if there's a major day one issue, people.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh no, there's outside this door. There's a whole bunch of people probably watching this stream and watching all the other streams just to see the kind of issues. And we have our lists anyway. But in terms of changing something significantly based on reaction, we'll wait a little bit, see how it settles down.
So this way, you're not listening to the immediate rage, because sometimes on the internet people can be so volatile, especially immediately.
Well, it's like when the conversation came out about Jug, if I was in a reactionary state, I'd be like, let's quickly put it back in.
Oh, like if you probably went out like on the stage of E3 and said no Jug, you'd get booed off.
Just drop it and just walk off,
no Jug, walk off the stage.
Yeah. Have a little jug
the
fridge and just blow it up on the stage.
Like the classic, like PlayStation 399. You'd get the opposite reaction.
We got some donations we're going to catch up on real quick. Ayo, it's your. Thank you for the 50. Ranga Master, thank you for the 10. My father was a veteran who served in the Australian Army. He's medically discharged with PTSD, so I'll put a smile on my face when I see people like you guys supporting people like my father. Keep up the good work. Thank you, man. XZ, thank you for the 750. Appreciate it. Loving you, Hutch,
Oh my
and
God,
Hutch recently.
what is going on?
Looking to start watching Vern and Goldie more often. Keep up the great work. Love all you mothers.
Appreciate you, dude.
Doc Tit, thank you for the 1. Catastrophe, thank you for the 25. Love this event. Love that it's for a good cause. Thank you, thank you. Thoop, thank you for the 5. Anyone aware if the zombies maps have the music Easter eggs in them like they used to? Like how you hold the action button 3 times?
Any answer?
And, he did not say anything. Sam E, thank you for the 40. No message. We really appreciate it. Leaker, thank you for the 10. Say hi to Papa Boner for me. Hello, hello. Cyborg, thank you for the 15.
Say hello
This is
to
like
Papa
amazing.
Boner.
That's my name is Tucker Boner.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tucker. I thought it
yeah.
was about Papa then. I was like, oh.
Well,
okay.
I also I'm his father. You know.
Oh, okay, yes. It's like, what stream am I on? What have I got myself involved
Hey,
in?
well, you don't see the couch.
Oh my gosh.
Cyborg, thank you for the 15, man. We really do appreciate it. All the best for Berlin. Thank you.
Awesome.
And
just,
Strider.
just came back from Berlin.
Oh, really?
Lovely city.
Yeah. Strider, thank you for the 25. Fantastic cause for an amazing game. Can't wait to play it. Thank you, guys. We're pushing towards $25,000 raised. Keep up the good work. Remember that we have these exclusive zombies boxes
I did it
available
again,
for you
Jay.
guys.
Jesus.
Look at them in game.
That-
They're so.
that
it makes
goes
it,
way
it makes
too-
the actual
that goes-
limited edition.
that
like,
goes
so
way
much
too
nicer.
fast.
Awesome. Is this whole map slanted? It is.
Yeah, I think it's
You're on a boat.
tilting and shifting.
Oh, God, I'm gonna front.
No, there's the thing. So we had this whole science on how do we make sure that we don't cause motion sickness, actual seasickness.
Really?
Oh yeah. So we went and did all the papers and looked at it all and worked out what things you can do that don't make you have motion sickness when you're playing it.
Yeah, I get pretty bad motion sickness, but I'm fine now. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, now let's talk field trips for a minute, Jason.
Yeah.
So I know there were tweets a while back or mentions. I think was it around the E3 or maybe the reveal that I think Craig was in London.
Yeah.
Relating to zombies or something like that.
You know, John,
And
my
I'm-
memory's a bit, hazy. And, you know,
it was a while ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I also know you just mentioned you were in Berlin. Could
Yes.
that be related to anything?
Oh,
coming down the
Berlin's a
pipeline?
lot easier. So Berlin, I was at EGX. So we're just at EGX, kind of talking and doing a bit of kind of pre-launch game hype. So that's what I was doing there in Berlin. London, on the other hand, that's
Keep an eye out.
Yeah, a little bit later down the line.
Now, so when you created Mob of the Dead originally, I believe you guys went actually to Alcatraz.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, of course, you can't go visit the Titanic unless you've got a scuba suit. But
No.
how did you guys go about making sure that this map was like the actual Titanic?
We actually went to the Queen Mary. That's in LA.
Is that the?
Oh, I hate the Queen Mary.
Now I'm not familiar with the Queen Mary. Is
Yeah.
that the sister ship to the Titanic?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe she is. Yes.
And, I stayed there for TwitchCon last year.
There you go.
Ooh,
It was
Bowie
pretty
knife
old,
action.
man.
Oh yeah.
You
So-
stayed inside the ship? You
Yes,
said?
yeah, that was my hotel.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I highly recommend the visit there. But we went along there, and it was just wonderful to kind of get in the space, listen to the kind of creaks of the boards and the floor, because the floor's all kind of wooden slats, right? So as you're walking, you feel that there's that feeling of the lacquer on the floor and the wood.
And it's haunted.
And it's haunted. So kind of getting around there, going into the engine room, just feeling the. And again, I have a deep love for engineering and invention and the human creativity, right? So, going into the.
Oh boy.
That is a.
So we found out
This
that
guy
does
is-
do
No,
damage.
that's not-
This
Not friendly.
This guy is a problem. I gotta deal with him.
But going into the engine room, you can kind of get the size of that thing, get the weight of it, and you think, people made this. It's amazing. It's incredible. So that was just to get inspired by the size and the scale.
I love just the design and the detail of this room.
Yeah, I've mentioned it on a couple of other interviews, but if you look on the tables, the food on the tables is actually the food that was there when the Titanic sank.
Really?
Yeah, there's crazy amount of details we've got in.
There's no floating apples on the table.
No, there's a salmon though. Whoever ate the salmon dish, yeah, watch out.
It's probably gone bad, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, probably.
That type of attention to detail is really cool.
Yeah,
it's like,
if you look at the clocks as well, the clocks are at the right times as well.
Really?
Oh,
They're
wow.
stuck it when they-
They're not
amazing.
stuck at 9:35, are they?
No, that's a different story.
No, that's true. Good
Yeah.
point.
Wow. I mean, that's the kind of detail, though, that Zombies players and Zombies aficionados really enjoy about the
Sure.
series. Like, I don't think I've seen anybody deep dig into a trailer more than somebody who's, like, hyper-aggressively trying to figure out all the little hints that are in the 10-second, teaser.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm on the energy drinks at the moment, because we literally filmed. We finished mastering the the Blood trailer that we just released.
Oh,
at,
that was
at 4 o'clock in the morning.
No
and I had to
way.
hand it off, and that's what went live at like 10 o'clock that following morning.
That's amazing.
So that was, yeah, I'm still recovering on the sleep.
Yeah, I know. We'll be there with you.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow.
Are you playing all the way through the night? Is that what's happening?
Oh, he's here for you.
I'm just.
He's here for you
Oh,
specifically
okay.
and to help us with the zombie
lovely.
segment.
Let's talk that trailer though, because that was incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Just on like as like a person who's super into the story, any relation to ciphers or old ciphers within that trailer?
It's really hard for me to say that because all I have in my head is now just narrative. And I sometimes forget what I put in a cipher and what I put in an audio log and what I put in something else. So yeah, a lot of story stuff. Some of those things would probably be cipher connected. Yes, actually, yes.
I mentioned it
I
because
can just think of one off the top of my head.
there was one specific moment I'm watching the trailer and I'm like clicked instantly with the Rev cipher. But
Right.
obviously, if I ask you straight up, you're just gonna dodge that.
Exactly, yeah. This is the third interview you've had with me now.
I've caught on after. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you can't get fooled again.
Well, this is why they're probably telling me that I've got to run away from you because you're going to hunt me down for the answers.
Oh my.
At this point, though, I'll
God.
probably tell you anything because I'm, as I say, just a bit tired.
That's I gotta catch you when you haven't
In a
slept
weakened
for like
state.
48
It's like
hours.
a boss battle. Yeah.
Just keep chipping away.
Yeah. Huh?
So do you think you'll see as many ciphers in Black Ops 4 as there were in Black Ops 3? Because you guys went to town on those.
So not as many in the Chaos story because I want it to be a little bit easier. You know, they're there. They're absolutely there. But it's probably going to get less as the story goes on because I want it to be more accessible. Any Ether story maps, yeah.
So the Ether.
At this point now, I'm just doing it for my own gratification rather than for the community. You know? So
Well, I think what is there's probably 6 or 7 unsolved ciphers in Revelations right now.
yeah.
It's intense. Oh my God! I didn't realize that guy could pull me in.
Oh yeah.
It's like the what's it called from Origins. I can't
Origins.
think of the name right now.
Panzer Soldier?
Yeah, Panzer. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this guy right now. He's a real pain in my side.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna stop you guys for a second. Marcus Idy, I hope I said that right, with the $200 donation, says I'm so ready for this game, Pog.
Wow.
Only 2 more
let's go,
hours. I'm
Marcus.
jumping straight in the blood of the dead. I'm sure you're gonna love it. You got any tips for him?
Don't die.
Wow, fantastic! Don't die, forehead.
Yeah.
Solid.
I hadn't thought about that one. All this,
If
all this time,
only your fellow YouTubers would follow that advice, eh?
all this time I've been trying to die.
Yes. Yes.
That's what you've been doing wrong.
Oh, jeez, why can't I get past round 1?
I remember that. It was the old Star Wars cabinet game from the 80s. You ever play that?
Well,
Little,
That's
yeah,
all-
yeah.
that's-
So it was like a
way
cabinet,
before my time.
vector graphics, right? And you'd fly around shooting, shooting down the TIE fighters, and then it got to the trench run. And if I remember rightly, I'm not sure about this, but if I remember rightly, if you went and moved the controller and shot, then it just played as normal. But if you went in there and then didn't touch the controls and then just pressed the torpedo, it was perfect. Actually, which was the Star Wars kind of little nod of the hat, right? Which was if you played the game and didn't touch it, it worked perfectly. Yeah, wink at the camera. I'm just giving gold
Yeah,
here.
Spawn in and
Suggest-
don't touch the control.
You're suggesting not touch anything?
I'm
Because
just
you
saying- I'm
say
not saying
that,
anything.
you
I'm
say
just-
that, and my
I'm just-
Easter
I was
egg
just-
mind goes running.
Well,
Jason.
I'm just reminiscing about games
Old
I used to play
games
as a
in the
kid.
80s,
Yeah.
I don't see why he would, link it to anything. This is
This makes a hell of my normal life. If I'm like down at a restaurant or whatever, and somebody bumps into me and they start asking me questions, and I say something, and they're like, "Oh, you're hinting there." I'm like, no, I just want to pick up my takeaway food. I just have that, please.
yeah. You guys get grilled.
Yeah.
What went into creating these? You have. I don't want to call them bosses, but you have
Sure.
zombies that are a different level from your standard, cannon fodder. What
Yep.
went into the creative process behind them? Obviously, they're dressed up, looking like they came off the Queen Mary, and then you have some amalgamation of, experiments.
Yeah.
Walk us through that a little bit.
So that's a dual path. So from a design point of view, it's necessary to make different combinations of bad guys that stop you from getting into too predictable a cycle.
Yeah.
and then there's different kind of levels that you want to do that, and then you also, once you've set out your levels, you have to talk about the combinations of them and what that means, and then match that against your weapons and your elixir. So there's this whole matrix that you have to do, talking about the design aspect of it, and then that's continuously refined through the process. But that was happening at the same time as a narrative desire and need for storytelling. And so it kind of, that then informed the visual look at them. So there's a design part of it, which is what are they doing to the gameplay, and then there's a narrative thing that we needed.
I mean, it got look scary, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so, well, you know, and I've said this before as well. I like to think we go for horror light, diet horror, which is that if you actually have something that is truly, truly, you know, pant-wetting scary, that's not something you want to keep on going back to. So what you want to have is something where it's got all the tropes of that genre, but it's more approachable. You know, because we have different age ranges who kind of play the game. Obviously, all over 18. But you know, you want to make sure that you know, like if you do Alcatraz, right? You've got body bags with, you know, hooks in them hanging and so forth. But no one had ever looked at it and go, I'm really scared by that. What they feel is the mood of it or the vibe of it. The emotion of it, I think, is more important than actually going, ah! You know, that, you know, and so that's the kind of line that we're always kind of flirting with, which is, it's always about the mood and the feeling of it rather than the true, you know, because there's an easy way of making it horror, but I don't think you want to.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm scared. I can't even watch horror movies, so.
Yeah, neither can I. Yeah, it's terrifying.
Now, World War II really went for like a really gory aspect. Did any of that influence your decisions when designing the game?
Not really. And I say that with all due respect, 'cause I think they did a great work. It's as I say, that was something, and with their heritage and their background, they went more down that route. That's not where my kind of creative sensibilities come from, and so. It didn't really know. I played it, I looked at it, and I really liked it, really enjoyed it. But here's the thing. I don't even know if we could make it down that style. You know, they are experts in that area and doing that kind of stuff. But I feel like our style. Again, I feel like people can approach it with different backgrounds. Guys who are like, I'm really into horror, can come to this and enjoy it. A guy's like, or a girl who's like, no, I don't want to be too scared, can also kind of come here. And I feel that's more important for me personally.
But now that you're not the only studio making zombies games or zombies like in this style, does it ever make you like feel like, all right, we gotta up our game, or we gotta really bring it next time?
I mean, it's less about the kind of sister studios and so forth, because this is a variation of a question that you know, standard magazine reviewers would ask me, which is like, hey, have you seen this other game that's out at the moment? You know, do you feel like you have to compete? You know, and the answer has always been no. And the reason why it's no, and it sounds like a good kind of PR answer, but it's absolutely true, which is we've got a world in ourselves that we are competing against ourselves. Treyarch is very much, and always has been, and may always be, we have this feeling of being the underdog, regardless of how successful we are.
Right.
Every single time, you know, just before this came out, we're all sitting there going, are people going to like it? I don't know. I just don't know. You know, we think it's fun. Is it fun? Yeah, it's fun, yeah. That has been the case every single time. And we're always competing with ourselves and that stuff. Now, we are gamers. We are, you know, movie watchers, book readers, comic book readers. And so we'll take influences from wherever we see it, right? But it's always about us in terms of how do we lift our game? What things did we do? How can we do them better? And then the more boring part of it is, okay, how many staff have we got? How much time have we got? You know, and there's the scheduling, production game. You know, one of the reasons why back in the day when I, you know, transitioned from being an engineer into being a producer before becoming a director, production is like the ultimate computer game. There's all these people, there's a finite amount of time, there's so many disciplines, and you're like, ooh, move it here, move it there, and put this thing in here, and oh, that's, you know, it's going to make something. That's the game we play every single time. You know, people say comments and say like, well, why can't you just put that in? It's like, well, that was a choice. At some point, you've got to make a choice about where you're spending your time, what are you doing. You can't do everything. Now, the difference this time round is we've changed the structure of the team so that between DLCs as we're going forwards, we've got a dedicated team adding new features and adding new content in.
Right.
So that's a big change. And that's only possible due to the community. There's so many people who have, we're very blessed with having such a passionate community. We get to see that, and then we get to have more resources allocated for us. We get to have more time, right? So if people are enjoying it, if people are having fun with it, that allows us to have more resources and put more stuff in. That's, there's a quick pro to that whole situation.
You've been doing this for a very long time. Do you still get those pre-launch nerves,
Yeah, every
the
time.
day before? What's Treyarch like on the day of a release, whether it be a new game or DLC?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I
They're in the
know. Well, I know I'm in the building, but we're kind of confined to
Sure.
just the media room. Like they won't let me just wander around the studio. What's kind of the feeling around the dev team?
It's a little bit of happiness and tension. There's a tension. There's a happiness that you're finally getting in people's hands, so we can watch the streams and see people playing it. We start to. There's then the job part of it, which is we need to log every single bug. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we know is still in there. We need to get on it, so it doesn't kind of like, oh, I'm done now. We just keep going. The other team's moving ahead. They've got their DLC 1, DLC 2 deadlines, so they're still going. DLC 3 and so forth, right? But then you also have this this strange feeling of I don't know. There's a numbness to it because you've worked on something for 3 years. It's go 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 go, and then it's out, and then you're excited, but also humble as well, and it's weird. It's a very kind of conflicted experience. I'm just speaking for myself personally, but on the floor, you'll see people reacting to it in different ways. I don't think it's the same for everyone.
No, at this point, you've worked on how many zombies? Like it's probably too many to count just off your head, right?
It's a lot.
Does it still feel like when you've released your first map?
Yeah, because there's been maps
not installed. That's tragic.
There's been maps where when we put the block out down, you play it a little bit, and there's been maps where we said no, we need to go again because I feel totally fine with this. That's a problem. So if you basically put your block out down, you start playing and go, this feels safe, this feels good. It's normally I walk out and go, we've got to change it up, guys.
You don't want to feel safe.
I don't want to feel safe. I should, every time we're doing a map, should be like, how are they going to receive this? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? It's like when you hear professional stuntmen. They are massive control freaks. They do amazing things, incredible acts, because they have a science to it. In the same way, we want to be making an amazing thing. And so we say we need to go somewhere dangerous. We're going to do something incredibly dangerous, but what we're going to do is going to back it up with all this thought and planning. But it should be, on a surface, a dangerous decision.
But there's a lot like that sometimes on YouTube where people, you'll hear YouTubers say, this video, I don't know about it. It's risky. And then they'll drop it and it's like, I'm so glad I did that. You go into those comfort zones, or those areas where you're not as comfortable. You leave those comfort zones.
Yeah, you have to.
In Black Ops 4, where would you say areas that you ventured into territory you were unsure about?
I think nearly every single bit. I'm not kidding. The decisions that we've made, I mean, there's ones that I feel more secure about, but again, it's about getting that preparation. Making sure that you're feeling like that decision was not just I'm pulling out my ass and say, let's do this. It's like we checked it against all the stuff. We've made educated decisions. I'm surrounded by a whole team of very, very talented and experienced individuals. When they turn around and say, I've got a gut feeling about that, their gut feelings are better than some people's is science, right? So when they say, I've got a gut feeling about that, because you have to make certain leaps of faith. But that's why I surround myself with the best, because it makes my job easy.
Well, let's take a map like Blood. So I think if you polled 100% of the community, they'd say we want to revisit Mob of the Dead. I mean, you had people going behind news broadcasts with signs saying remaster Mob of the Dead.
Yeah, it was awesome.
In a sense, this is a safe choice. But
Sure.
in what ways did you leave your comfort zone on this map?
Well, it's I would say completely the opposite, actually. I don't think it's a safe choice at all. Because when we said we'd do it, internally, we said, well, we're not just going to do the same. And as such, that safe choice is now the most dangerous choice you ever made. Because if you take the most, or one of the most beloved fan favorite maps, and say, it can't be the same, that's very, 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 very dangerous. Because you've got all the expectations of years of expectations now built up. The story's at a certain critical point as well. The opportunity to put the step wrong is massive.
Yeah.
And then you've got to keep doing it because there's this feeling of like, well, we could just go safe here, we could just play safe here, and you can't. So this is, opposite to how you're saying, this is probably the pinnacle of danger right here.
That's interesting because definitely when I first jumped into the map, a lot of the areas you experience first, at least in Rush, are new.
Sure.
New to the player, and I'm playing. I'm like, it feels eerily familiar, but at the same time, completely different. It wasn't until I really started to dive into it that I came back to the old places.
Right.
But you could definitely see that this isn't just your standard remake of, like, say, the Giant.
Right.
This isn't. It feels almost like a brand new map.
Yeah. And here's the thing:
feels like modern.
the mechanics that are in there mean that the way you tackle it, even in exactly the same location, will be different. Right, using your equipment, using your special weapons, right? Those elixirs and perk choices completely change where you'd sit in an environment and the kind of strats that you'd roll, right? So, this was very risky. This was a big scary pass for me.
Well, how would you compare then the revisiting of Mob of the Dead to the revisiting of 5? Because that was a map that I think most community members would say they didn't see coming. The Classified has been very tight-lipped so far, but what was the decision making to revisit that one?
Well, 5, and again, this is almost like we planned this conversation. 5 is, quite a few people in the community were very vocal about 5 not being their favorite map. That's exactly the reason why I'd want to do a map like that.
I think it's probably, I mean, you know the numbers better than me,
Sure.
but just talking to people, probably one of the least played Black Ops 1 maps. So
Sure. Yeah.
Like you jump into a game, most casual players, let's do Kino. Because Kino is very safe, very secure.
That's the reason why I wanted to do it. And obviously it makes total narrative sense as well. So there was an impetus there. But when I first started talking about it, we're like, God, but people aren't really a fan of that map. It's like, yes, that is the reason we must go there. Right? And then, with the intro IGC as well, sorry, in-game cinematic movie, intro movie. Keep doing that.
So,
in the intro movie as well, it's like...
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you've not seen it? Okay.
No. Well, no, funny enough, my understanding is you guys went on a very different art style for it.
Yes.
And I saw on Reddit somebody had synced it up to the soundtrack to Monsters,
I know,
Inc.
it makes me cry because I know they kind of cracked...
Have you seen that, though?
Yeah, well, they cracked the package or something, and so they got the movie but not the audio file.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the whole thing is it's the marriage
audio.
of the two. Like, I would seriously recommend people do not look at those things. Watch it with the...
Well,
Because it's an original
that's
composition as well.
exactly what I did, where I saw the... I saw it, and I'm like, what is this Monsters, Inc. and Zombies? And I thought it was just a silly meme, and I'm like, this is the actual cutscene, and I turned it off immediately.
Yeah,
I'm
it's an absolute... We went and got the big band in, we got everything, and it's perfectly synced to the visuals. So I think it's such a shame that on examples like that where people are kind of ruining it for themselves a little bit, or they're not getting to experience the artist's intention for the piece.
Tucker, what do you got here? Looks like you got
wanna hit
something
a pause
really
real
awesome.
quick. We're gonna swap.
What is this right here?
So we we showed you guys we had a couple posters, but we did not. Here, I'm gonna slide.
Yeah, come into
Yeah,
frame.
let
There
me-
you go.
let me-
Yeah, we showed you guys we had a couple posters. They're all available now, and this is one of 5 signed Zombies posters of the new map. We have. We also have Blood of the Dead as well as some other things. And look, I'm sure your signature is probably on this one as well.
Is it?
There's only 5 of these available.
There we go.
Jason Blundell. autograph.
He's right there. There's only 5 of these available. There are also non-signed posters available. I think we have 20 of those for each one. So if you want these, I mean, they were pretty much gone immediately last time we did this. So I'm doing it now at the end of the zombie segment because I know you guys are probably big fans of it. So these are now available as a reward. You guys can check them out. Great gift for anyone, frame it. And
Halloween's coming up.
yes, look at it is awesome. It's huge too.
But Tucker, the mystery box is still available
The
too.
mystery box is still available as well, which we've got. You want to show that one as well?
Show this off.
Yeah, show it off. I'm gonna put this down so I don't smudge it or hurt it.
Here we go.
That is
Ah.
also available.
Incredibly beautiful, or I guess terrifying, depending on how you want to describe it, mystery box, which does light up and make noises. So they're available. You can, I think it's 500 to get your hands. These are not
they're
available.
400.
Oh, 400. They are not available.
You can't get them anywhere else.
I think it was like sold out.
they are. This is the only place you can get them. So
Once I stepped off
Once
the stage,
they
at Comic-Con.
dropped, I called my GameStop. I
Yeah.
called my Best Buy. It's actually sitting at my house right now, like back at home, and I'm hoping nobody opens it up before I do.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Or it's on the way.
Here's the thing,
something like that.
we sat down and worked on that, with obviously the guys here at Treyarch, and I announced it on the stage at Comic-Con. I came back and said, "Okay, can I get one?" They were like, "We're not got any." And I was like, "That's like a year's worth of work there."
Reminder that everything that you guys donate goes directly towards the Call of Duty endowment. Every dollar is matched by Activision. and we are coming up on $25,000 raised.
Way.
So big love. And before we jump into it, shout out to Jay Legs and Kinger both for the $50 donations, as well as Matt Danovic, who was just in here with the 25. Thank you, Matt.
Nice.
Really appreciate it. Kinger says, always love you guys doing this every year. Great calls with great games.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
So good job, guys. We got about 20 more minutes left of zombies before we go back into multiplayer, so let's make the most of it. Get some more info.
Record breaker.
Yeah, please.
So we have so you've revisited 5. You've revisited Mob of the Dead.
Yeah.
There are a few maps that have been left out in the remasters and revisits and reimaginings. Do you have? Nope. Ooh, and he's sliding off. He's sliding off.
Are you gonna die back there?
You guys back home can analyze that how you see fit. They're like,
I'm just gonna leave an uncomfortable silence now at this point.
You know, that's.
I had to take the shot there.
Yeah, nice one, Mitch.
All I'm asking for is for Die Rise to come back.
Oh yeah.
The undisputed.
That's all you're asking for.
I'm gonna. This will probably make the entire chat cringe, but undisputed greatest map of all time.
Okay.
Ooh, here
So
we
in
go.
other
was
words,
gonna say everybody's like, no.
So you're basically saying, don't do anything else, Jason. Just bring Die Rise back.
Pretty much.
That's
I have been
Don't touch
berated for my undying love of Die Rise, and I will not back down.
Why do you like it so much?
I kind of like the way it forces you to play. So it's very linear in a sense where sometimes
it's
you
the
can't go
liquefier,
back.
isn't it?
The liquefier is nice, but I like how sometimes like you'll go down an alleyway, you can't turn back. So I like how sometimes it forces you to, rather than you dictate the play, the game dictates how you play.
At
I think it's an
$1,000 and
interesting
we'll
way
remove
to.
him from the room immediately. At least you gave.
Yeah.
Who is the artist that designed the poster that we showed off earlier? Because you guys have pulled in some incredible artists for previous zombies.
That's so that one is that's Simon Bisley. He was. I'm gonna age him now, so sorry, Simon. When I was a kid, I used to read a comic called 2000 AD, which is where Judge Dredd and Rogue Trooper and a lot of my childhood comic heroes came from. And Simon was an artist at 2000 AD, and so when the opportunity arose to work with him, I couldn't turn it down.
That's actually really awesome.
But you know, we've worked with pretty much so every time we do it, essentially I try and get a different kind of comic artist or traditional artist that I'm a huge fan of, and I'll just kind of hire them and spend Activision's money to do that. So you know, that's kind of fun. Simon's kind of, you know, friend of the studio, kind of come back multiple times and helps us on stuff. But I just love now we live in such a Photoshop world, you know, where you look at, you know, movies and so forth. Most have got a very templated look to it. They're all the same style. It's always the big heads and so forth. And you know, we're not a stranger to heads on posters either. But I do like the fact that we'll make decisions on our posters and our images that are non-traditional, that marketing wouldn't normally approve or do. I love the painterly style. I love doing abstracts. You know, I mean, Classified, we did a very different style as well. So, yeah, it's about. I think it should mirror our mentality on the mode, which is different things, different tastes, different styles, and you know, sometimes getting your heroes or getting people that you really like, and then asking them what they don't like to do, and then asking them to do that, which is a little bit how we do our design over here sometimes.
Does this mean that there's a Classified poster out there? Because I don't think I've seen one.
I don't think we've actually put the poster out. It's the I mean, it's our loading screen image with Samantha.
Is this related to I think it was released the other day. Now it's a background on PS4.
Is it?
I think maybe, if we're talking about the same image.
Yeah, it's one Samantha. She's got the moon as one eye.
Yeah,
got
the Earth is the other.
up in
Oh,
other
that
eye.
was great.
And then you've got the different heads actually making up her neckline, and then the Pentagon, and then the zombies are her shoulders and so forth. And, I just like the idea of this kind of 2 to 3 read image. The idea that you could look at an image, but you have to look at it twice or 3 times before you see all the elements in it.
Well, that's exactly what it felt like. Where I think the first time I saw that image, it was a really low res version of it. Like somebody just like.
I think
like
they got it from the PlayStation
little
store,
like
yeah.
just like a little thumbnail of it, and so you blow it up, and like all the faces, you kind of lose it in the detail, and I'm like, I feel like I'm just looking at an ink blot.
Right.
Like all these people seeing faces in the background, I'm like, there's no way there's faces. Y'all are like, you're pulling the stuff out of thin air.
Sure.
But then I see the higher res image, and I'm like, now I see it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just clever.
I'm really happy with that. I mean, we worked with a bunch of artists back in the UK to do that. This is the first time we've used an agency group rather than a singular individual. And again, just wanted to mix it up and try something different, and they absolutely knocked it out of the park. Yeah, it was great.
When you do this, you tell those artists, these are the things that I want, and fit it into this style, or do you just let them run free?
So I take a very direct hand in the poster generation when we do our music videos and so forth, and obviously standing on the shoulders of giants here, by the way, because I don't have a artistic bone in my body, but I like to work with these really creative people, and I just kind of point the direction for them and then let them go wild. Like, one of the first conversations when I work with a poster artist for the first time is, I want you to paint what you want to paint. In other words, I don't want to dictate the style. I want to tell you about things that are inspiring me and things that I'm interested in. I want to talk about elements that want to get in there. But imagine someone's going to pay you for you to paint whatever the hell you want to paint. What would you paint? And then that's where we get the stuff from. So, you know, like when we work with like Dave McKean, right, for the Revelations post, that's a very different poster than the other styles. I was a huge fan of him from doing the front covers for the Sandman comics. So that's a Neil Gaiman comic series. You know, he did those kind of twisted kind of views of, you know, Dr. Monty as the main face and the characters are all twisted and stuff. I never said that, right? But it absolutely speaks to his style and his aesthetic. So that's a kind of key thing. And in the same way that internally, when we talk to the sound department or the animation or the art models, you know, we ask for them to put the love in and do what they are passionate about. And I think that's why when people play these games or play our game, they can feel that. They can feel that this is people at the top of their craft doing the thing that they want to do. Which, you know, we've all worked on games where we're trying to make the game. Zombies is something where you're seeing artists, and I mean that in both senses, scientists, artists, and artists, practicing their craft with the love why they got into the industry in the first place.
But that's probably one of my favorite parts of Zombies, where you jump in and you're like, I feel like they care. Like, they put the time and you see all the little details. Yeah, I never see Pack-a-Punch here.
We don't tell them to put the candle there. You know, they get in and they're like, this is my area. I want this to pop, right? But in the same way, the concept artists who will sit down and kind of sketch out an area, they will describe something and they'll make it because they love painting, you know, certain moods and feels. They put it over there. The builder takes that, works with that, you know. Then the sound designer comes in, and it's like, okay, what emotions is this invoking me? Now let me try and experiment with different sounds and different techniques, right?
I've been in this room, by the way, 3 or 4 times, and I've never once seen the Pack-a-Punch till now.
Just around the corner, Jeff.
Yeah, like I'm coming in here and I'm like,
You should have just asked.
I'm like, it's the end of a hallway. There's nothing here. Jeez. And I'm so used to, like, the only time I'd ever go in this room when I'm turning on one of those generators, get in, get out.
Yeah.
And so, like, the way I play Mob of the Dead suddenly blends into how I'm playing Blood, and it's like I gotta almost rewire my brain for a second. It's fun though. It's got like that perfect balance of both, like, familiar but also different.
That's what we tried. Yeah, I think some of the old timers actually. That's you, John. Some of the old timers.
It's weird to call myself an old timer. I'm probably the youngest person in this room.
I think it's actually probably hardest for people like yourself who know the old one and they have to reprogram their brains about.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that corridor doesn't lead to that anymore. You know.
Definitely. That's a weird thing to hear. The old timer.
Yeah, man. Listen, I used to always be the youngest guy in the studio. I used to, like, not this studio, but I was, you know, I started working in the games industry when I was like, what, 16?
Wow.
And I was always the youngest guy. And then there was one day when I realized I'm the old guy. When did that happen?
So where did you begin then? What was like your first project when you were developing it?
Oh, wow. So first game, like, well, so I started coding when I was like 10. The first game I worked on was a little, so I come from a little town called Warrington in England. It's between Manchester and Liverpool. And I'd heard that there was a game studio coming to town, which is called Digital Image Design, DID. And they did a game called EF2000 and TFX. These were flight simulators back in the day. And I was just beside myself, which is the idea of a game studio coming to my town. But my town's like a little industrial town. Nothing happens, right? The idea of a game studio coming there was just the most incredible thing I'd ever heard of. And so I won't pretend. I just stalked them. I just went to the local pub because, you know, at 16, that's enough place you can go in England. You know, it's just like I'm gonna wait till somebody comes in who starts talking about games, and I'm just gonna move over to them. You know, so I never did get a full-time job there, but just the idea of the excitement of it, of artists and engineers being in a building, you know, that you couldn't get it, you had to use a card to get in. It was just exciting. But my first job was another little studio then came to town. It was like, what, 2? What? I said, you know, I can. I said as a programmer, I was like, can I come and work for you? I'm still at school, and they were like, no, no, you can't. And I said, well, because you know, a 16-year-old programmer, they're like, yeah. Well, I said, but I'm also an artist because I knew 3D Studio version 3 back in the time. And so they said, oh, okay. And they said, yeah, but we're a bit tight. I said, don't worry, I'll work for free. And they went, you're hired. So started working there, doing an open world game.
No idea how you survived that.
Yeah, I thought I was
nutty.
I thought this area was still open. I was gonna go pack a punch the M1927. I think this might be the enemy right here, though. This could be a mistake.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh gosh! Wow. That should
I know, right?
that should not have happened.
Covered in butter, word.
You're watching this like I gotta make this harder.
No, you're doing good.
No, I died literally in the first room. Let's just keep it right where it's at for now.
Okay, flag.
Okay, now I can breathe.
That's intense.
Yeah. So I know this. So Black Ops 3 is probably one of the most custom, or Black Ops 4, I should say, is one
Yeah,
of the most.
3 was as well.
Well, Black Ops 4 though is probably more customized.
Feel free to go out and buy 3 as well.
Yeah.
Just in case you missed that one. Yeah.
You're like, there's a third. I've been stuck on 2 for years now, living under a rock. So this game though is probably as customizable as it could possibly get.
We tried our best, yeah.
How did you go about like? What were like the ideas for like? What do we want to customize? Like, did you ever say to yourself like, oh no, we shouldn't do that, or
No,
we
it's,
should?
well, like I said before, it's everything. So we wrote everything down, and then you start making decisions about the ones that you feel most passionate about, and then you let those decisions ripple down to the other ones, and then you find out if there's one left over, a couple left over that you've not touched because the design decisions didn't touch it. You then say, okay, you know, there's a question of if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? You look at it and say, is there anything I want to do to this? And then there were a couple that you did, and then you had to run the design decisions back around the system again, because if you change that one, there's a symmetry there you have to be careful of. And there's some that we left alone, but I think it's pretty much everything. I mean, like you know, for someone like yourself, right? If you were to look at like what happens when I go down, what happens when I get perks, what happens when you know the last zombie's running around, what happened about the spread dynamic, what about the speed of them, what about the hit damage, what about if you go through that list and write down all the things that you're aware of as a zombie player, I think if you look at Black Ops 4, you'll see that something has changed on nearly every single one of them. But not for just willy-nilly sake. For it has been considered against some other aspect that's also changed, or not changed.
So a lot of Black Ops 3's customization probably came from the mods and the mod tools.
Sure.
Like there's a lot of them that allow you really to dive into the game where you can suddenly like jump to round 100 and maybe slow down the zombies. Also, like really cool menus people have created. Will Black Ops 4 potentially have any room for mods coming down the pipe?
So I mean, nothing that we've confirmed or talked about. I would say that this now under the hood is has the flexibility that I've always wanted, inherent in the structure, and that's a big deal. So you know, mods and PC for like 3 when we released the mod tools and so forth. That was kind of giving connections into the code. This one now, the code in its natural state is
ready for it.
It's just very ready for, I just want to change that, change this, change the other. And that's a property that, you know, when, as a studio, we were taking the whole engine apart and rebuilding it for, you know, both multiplayer and Blackout as well. It just coincided that I was like, and I've always wanted to do that for zombies as well, so yay! And we were messing around with that back in Chronicles days, right? And actually before Chronicles, because Zetsubo was.
Yeah, it wasn't the reason Zet was so like buggy on release was because it was working with a relatively revamped engine.
I don't know what you're talking about, John.
Maybe not.
It's, I mean, kids, go back in there, check it out. It's solid as a rock. But yeah, we're always doing like you know talking about changes or talking about systems, and you're trying to. This is again one of the realities of game development. You're sailing the ship while you're building the ship in so many ways, right? And, you know, as professional game developers, our job is that you don't see that we're building the ship as we're sailing the ship. Now, again, sometimes, you know, you open a door and it's like, there's the ocean. Oh, shit. Let's close that down again. Sorry, I'm swearing, swearing on stream.
Oh, no, you can say shit.
Okay, donate $200 for every swear word Jason
Hey,
uses.
there you go.
So, I'm going to get scowls from Activision people behind her.
Well, it's an 18 plus game.
Yeah,
Is it?
right?
Is it?
18
Oh boy.
Okay, I'll drop some more F-bombs. Is that okay, Calvin? Is Calvin in it? Oh, okay.
See, even better.
Yeah,
This is like
we're okay. I've not got my Activision chaperone, so I can do anything now.
You're off the leash.
Yeah,
They're worried now, though.
Jason gone wild.
Oh. Hey, that ties into the whole... Oh, you're one hit away.
Jeez, this is getting a little too close for comfort. A blackout showed like the potential to have like a lot of players on a lot of maps.
Yeah.
And I know in Grief we had 8. Could we potentially be seeing some of that incorporated into Black Ops 4? Are you really opening up like more zombies than ever, not just like the standard 24?
We do have a greater latitude on zombies, on our AI count. It's not infinite by any means. It's, you know, because as soon as you talk about AI, you're talking about how many cycles you're going to give to it and so then the workload on the system. That's the only limiting factor, really. When you're talking about player counts, then you're talking about network bandwidth. And so that answer, I would say, you know, if we wanted to put 100 players inside a zombies map, we could.
Yeah.
Right, but we wouldn't. So the question of like kind of Grief and going back to 8 players and so forth, the infrastructure is absolutely there. That's not the problem, in my mind. And that's not been the problem. The problem has been how do we make sure the mode is good? The mode,
I planned it that way.
the mode being good is the more important thing, I'd say.
That death was totally.
Yeah, no, it was 100% planned. Well, I mean, Jason, thank you for taking the time, and I don't think there was anybody better that we could have had to just go through
seriously.
literally everything. I mean,
That conversation was fantastic.
yeah,
Like,
you guys got all of the info out possible. So thank you for coming on. And before
pleasure.
you go, shout yourself out.
Yeah, Johnny J25 on YouTube. Gonna be covering the game as soon as it drops. I think tonight, or as
Yes,
soon as I
tonight.
get home. Shout out to the Zombros podcast and Rad Olsen 27 at home. I think that's everything I got to shout out. Follow me
Awesome.
on Twitter at JohnnyJ25.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, don't forget it. All right, guys.
And be sure to donate.
There you go. Thank you.
And follow me. Actually, don't follow me. I've not got. I've not got any social media.
Well, guys, thank you so much.
Appreciate
It's
you
been
guys
awesome
stopping by.
having
Thank
you on.
Oh, they have it
Thank you for taking some of the load off.
Wow, no, that's gonna be a clip now. Oh,
See what happened
that's
then?
gonna be a clip now.
Don't worry, it happened to me as well. Don't worry.
Oh, it's so embarrassing.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh shit. It's okay. Nobody saw
okay.
that one.